Welcome to the shack. Today we are going to take a look at this thing here. We're going to determine, was this the worst Mac that was ever made? Or am I just full of it? So stay tuned and we'll take a tour and we'll find out. So what we got here is we have the ubiquitous Macintosh Classic II. This thing, I feel, is one of the worst Macs ever made. Right up there with the LC and of course the original Classic. Although the original Classic wasn't nearly as bad as this one. So we got a compact Mac, same 9-inch black and white screen as the SE, SE30 Plus, 128 and 512. It's 384 or 512 by 384 resolution. Small, tiny little compact form factor. So as we swivel around, we can tell that this particular computer was made in 1993, July of 1993 to be exact. So we do have some port. We do have a full complement of ports, which this is actually kind of impressive. So we do have a microphone port, one ADB port, which truthfully is pretty sufficient for a compact Mac. We actually still have a floppy disk drive port, which is amazing for a 93 model year computer. Of course, we have SCSI, printer, modem, serial ports, and we have a sound out port. So the sound input port is actually kind of surprising, as low end as this machine was supposed to be. Most of the computers in the compact Mac line don't actually have audio input capabilities, but this one actually does. So, and then we have standard fan, power supply. There's no expansion, internal expansion, unlike the SE and the SE30. There's actually no way of adding anything inside of this short of memory or a hard drive. So over on this side we have your standard interrupt and programmer switch and reset switch. And as you see, the interrupts button's actually broken on this one. And then, interestingly enough, here's the speaker, which is actually mounted on the logic, or not on the logic board, on the analog board, and it fires out. So you actually get pretty crisp sound for, what limited amount of sound this thing has. So as we take notice, as we look, we see that this thing's in pretty rough shape, cosmetically. It's been around the block a few times. It's definitely got yellowing going on. It's got a lot of nicks in it, a lot of marks. I haven't cleaned this machine up at all. I don't know how evident see the yellowing here. You can see the difference. So this machine has definitely seen better days. However, thanks to Steve at Mac84, this computer is actually fully functional. Mostly fully functional. So it is missing one thing. It's missing a floppy drive. The floppy drive that was in it was no good, and so we took it out, and I need to get a replacement for it. But Steve actually found this at a recycling center in Brooklyn, New York. He picked a whole crap load of compact Macs up. So, and he asked if I would be interested in any, and he mostly picked up a couple pluses, some SEs, a lot of classics. And he only picked up 2 Classic IIs. I said, well, I guess I'll take a Classic II I said this is going to be the most quote-unquote powerful of all the ones that he picked up. Most of the SEs he picked up are in really bad shape. That's a machine I wouldn't mind having in my collection. So I chose the Classic II simply because it's a 68030, which is actually kind of a joke on this machine. And it's choked really bad by the design of the computer. This computer was purposely crippled by Apple so it wouldn't cut into sales of the higher end Mac 2 line. Apple didn't want people going back and buying the Classic II to try to save money versus buying a Mac 2 Ci or a 2 CX or I'm trying to think of what machines were being made in '93. The 2 Ci was the big one. The 2 FX was, of course, the real big one. That was super expensive. I mean, starting at $10,000. So they purposely crippled this machine, gave it an artificial RAM ceiling, hampered it with a 16-bit bus with a 32-bit processor. You know, of course, it has no FPU on it. So it was really intended for home and educational use. And truthfully, it was not a very successful computer. There's a lot of them around, but it wasn't a terribly successful computer in those fields. So what we're going to do now, we're going to power her up, and we're going to see what she can do. Okay, so if you thought the computer was yellow, you ain't seen nothing yet. Ain't nothing in this world as yellow as this poor old keyboard. This is my Apple Extended Keyboard 2, and the keyboard is perfectly functional. It just looks lousy. So, oh, it is really bad. So we're going to get a little closer, and this may not be the best image capture. This camera doesn't sync on CRTs too terribly well, but we're going to give her a shot. So now we are booting off the internal hard drive. Oh, I love that chime. Actually, that looks a lot better than I anticipated. Welcome to Macintosh. Definitely something you don't see anymore. So, there we go. We're all booted up. It actually boots pretty quick. So we go into About This Macintosh, and we see that we have a Classic II, and it has the full 10 megabytes of memory, running System 7.1, which is actually probably one of the most ideal operating systems for this. You can run 7.5 or even 7.6 on it. I just wouldn't recommend it. It's just going to be way too slow. So we go into the hard drive here, and we find that I think this is a 40 megabyte hard drive. It says there's 13 megs on the disk. Yeah, there's 24 megabytes available, so it's a 40 megabyte hard drive. Not the biggest hard drive in the world, but Steve was nice enough to throw a few things on here for me. I'm not even sure what all this stuff is, but I think this is a game. Oh yeah, I know what this is. And I suck at it. Oh. Let's see if we can turn the volume up a little bit here. Oh yeah. We must eep. Even at full volume, the speaker on this thing's still not the greatest. Even though it's side firing and everything, you would think it would be better, but it's really not. I mean, okay. That's weird. Never seen that one before. Well, the problem is you can't turn the cache off. We did turn 32-bit addressing on, so that'll help a little bit, but go in here to After Dark. And this is the old 2.0 version. Gotta have toasters. Must have toasters. It is not a good day unless you see toasters. Oh, what else we got here? Say what? Oh, that's the one that shows the quotes. Okay. Good old Starry Night. They call it Starry Skyline on this one, but it's known as Starry Night on most of them. Of course, got the good old warp. Oh. See, unlike most computers, this one here you can actually adjust. Everything's adjusted electronically. There are no, unlike most of the other compact Macs, there's no knob on the front to adjust the brightness of the CRT. So that actually looks really good right there. So we can go in here to Load Runner. I've never played, I've never actually played Load Runner. Oh, and of course classic Mac OS crash. So, let's load up Word here. And this is an old version of Microsoft Word. Version 4. It's not terribly old. Which actually, it loaded pretty quick. Surprisingly. Maybe this computer is better than I remember. I mean, it's obviously not going to be doing any major desktop publishing or anything like that, but, I mean, it's not being too slow. So, but we see here, Tattletech actually reads as the manufacture date is 1/2 of 89, which is kind of odd. That's probably when the ROMs were burned or built. So, it has a 68030 at 16 megahertz. Has no FPU built in. So, if you're trying to run any spreadsheets or anything that is real math intensive, it's going to be really slow. Go into drives here. We can see it is a 40 megabyte hard drive, which is actually quite small for a Classic II. It was just one that Steve had laying around. And the ADB devices, you can see we have an extended keyboard and we have a mouse, which I'm using ye old trapezoid mouse, which I actually like. That's really about all. We can go into SCSI devices here. It's only going to find one, and that's a hard drive. And of course the SCSI controller. There we go. So we see it's actually a Quantum Pro drive, LP40S. Not a great drive, but seems to be working okay. You know. Oops. And then of course Steve had to install this just to be silly. There's not enough memory to run kid pics. Alright. So with 10 megs of memory, we still don't have enough memory. And this could be because 32-bit addressing is not turned on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to restart it. And see if that makes a difference. 32-bit addressing frees up memory space. And allows 32-bit applications to run properly. Actually boots up really fast. I mean, I'm kind of impressed. I've never actually owned a Classic II, so I've worked on a few of them. I've never actually owned one. So this is the first time I've ever owned a Classic II. I've owned a Classic, and the Classic was okay. Not the greatest, but it wasn't too bad. Oh, I guess this is just a drawing program. Okay. That makes funny noises. Oh, that's kind of cute. Huh. That's actually kind of cool. Ah. Oh my goodness. That's actually kind of cute. Whoops. You can definitely tell this is definitely marketed towards kids, or geared towards kids. That's pretty cool. I've never actually played with that program before. I might have to do that. Of course, he loaded HyperCard on here. I've never actually played too much with HyperCard, so. But I'm gonna toy around with it a little more. And but is it really as bad as I always thought it was? No, I don't know. I mean, it seems reasonably fast. I mean, I am running System 7.1. Of course, you know, we're not going to have network or anything like that. The sound's not the greatest. You know, the screen's crisp. It runs reasonably fast. I mean, considering it's got a 40 megabyte hard drive, it's really not bad. So, sorry about that. Had to do a jump cut. My camera overheated again. So, is it as bad as I think it is? Well, no, actually, maybe it's not. I don't know, kind of using this machine actually kind of changes my opinion a little bit of it. I mean, it's still a hampered machine. It could have been so much more, but I mean, in terms of like raw power, if you want raw power, I mean, an SC30 is going to be a superior machine. 128 megs max RAM, same processor, but on a 32-bit bus. You know, you got the PDS expansion slot, so you can add a video card or whatever else you might need to that particular machine. Was this a good machine for education and home? Yeah, I think it probably was. Like I said, this is the first time I ever owned one, so. But it seems to actually run really, really well, considering. I mean, it's running System 7.1, so it's running an older version of the operating system. But this is what would have shipped on the machine when it was new. You know, 7.1 came out in late '91, early '92, so you know this would have been what the machine shipped with. So it feels very, very quick, and it seems to react well. The hard drive seems to work well, which is actually pretty surprising considering it's an old 40 megabyte hard drive. So, you know, so I plan on featuring this computer more and more. And this one's one of those ones where you just kind of got to capture the screen like so, because there is no output for the video. So, but you know, I'm going to do some more stuff with this over time. But this at the moment is the oldest computer I own. And this is the only compact Mac, short of, you know, my iMacs that I have. So, you know, so when I need something older, this is what we're going to grab. So, let me know what your thoughts on the Classic II are down below. And as always, you can support me on Patreon. Links in the description. Just like this video, subscribe if you're new, join me on Facebook, and this has been Mike's Mac Shack. We'll see you next time.